Okay, quick part two. Sorry about the poor production quality, but that's clear. Finished up the rifle that we were talking about yesterday. Turned out pretty much exactly how I wanted it. This lower is not staying because we actually have an actual LNT Mars lower that we're going to be switching the upper to, but overall, pretty much this right here, exactly what we wanted. The Knights Armament rails are kind of a pain in the butt to time, but a couple of barrel shims and we got her there. First impressions, super comfortable rifle, super duper comfortable. Not sure if the TLR VIR will stay, a little bit bulky. Probably would put another Surefire on there in place. Sits a little bit lower and it's pivotable, so we could tuck it in a little bit nicer, but I do like the fact that this one has the IR flood, so that's kind of nice. The optic setup turned out exactly how we wanted it. Super comfortable rifle, and we know that it's super durable, shoulders amazingly well. Everything worked out absolutely perfect. A couple of the things that we forgot to mention is I had a spare Geisel Maritime in the parts box that I just decided to throw on there because I like them. Also, the GI Ambi safeties. I had long, short GI Ambi safeties, threw one of those on there. And an old FCD trigger guard that loved forward controls, but I had modified it a little bit to fit another lower, and we ended up going a completely different route. So, you know, spare parts is spare parts. Use them where you can, right? Everything fits. One of the things I forgot to mention is we use the hole style castle nuts from FCD. From Double Star. The reason that I use the hole style one is because although I don't mind the regular castle nuts, and they do work extremely well, I like the fact that in a pinch you can just stick a punch laterally, knock this thing loose. It may destroy the castle nut, but the one thing it won't do is destroy the threads on your buffer tube. And like I said, this is our SHTF setup. How can we service this in the field? If I have to get this buffer tube off using one of those big old castle nut hand wrenches on one that's staked, gonna be tough to come off. Sometimes they slip and destroy the threads, and then you have an issue getting them off. So for the most part, I use the hole style, and I'm gonna go over some cost saving tips with that in a little bit. These Magpul DTPR stocks that my old Marine Corps buddy turned me on to, amazing, and super happy with the Reardon style suppressor mount, Atlas, Plan B, whatever you want to call it. We went that way on the 74 as well, and we're basically going to switch everything over from there. So the fact that everything will interchange with a regular GI model is really nice. And like I said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going with less expensive components, but we really like this setup. If cost savings was an issue, to be honest with you, I would have absolutely zero problems, and this is why I set this one out, with going with something basic like this. Yes, this is just a FN15 with a cap drop in. You don't even have to spend the money on this rifle or this ring, okay? If you're looking for your SHTF rifle, this same hammer forged barrel, that 16-inch H-bar that we installed in that rifle, you can buy that complete rifle from Double Star, basically in this configuration, obviously just with plastic handguards, but with that 16-inch hammer forged barrel for, I want to say it's around $7.99. And to be honest with you, I got a used Troy drop-in battle rail that I picked up for like 50 bucks off a tax swap, and that right there in itself, drop that in, rear sight. This one happens to be a Maytech. I think I also got a spare Knights Armament rear sight off a tax swap for about 75 bucks. So $7.99, you can have a 16-inch hammer forged barrel, front sight post, $50 drop-in rail, $75 rear sight, and then something like this small optic here. That was $70 with the 0 delta mount at a pawn shop, and you will have an absolutely bomb-proof rifle. The other thing we forgot to mention is this has the, we were able to install the Griffin Armament 2-stage trigger on some super sale, like about $70. I think regular price, they're still only $100. That is an absolutely amazing trigger for the price. Tried it out, can't wait to go shoot it and see what it does, but there is almost zero reset on that thing. It's probably one of the best triggers for the price that I found. A couple of the other things, like I said, definitely check out, I believe it's called I believe the double star version is called the Star Car. $7.99, 16-inch cold hammer forged chrome line barrel, 1-in-7 twist, front sight post. If cost is a factor and you can only really afford one rifle, me personally, if I could only afford one rifle, I would get something with a front sight post. First off, you have a super solid front sight that's not going to fail you. Secondly, you only have to buy a rear backup sight. And third, most of your aim point style mounts nowadays, like on this 0 delta mount, are going to be lower 1/3 co-witness, so having the front sight post on there does not matter. There's absolutely nothing wrong with just getting a regular old 16-inch gun, front sight post, put a drop-in rail, because if you have your front sight post and you have your red dot set up, the stability of the front rail, not a huge deal. And the old Troys, you could find those used almost anywhere. They were a super solid rail. Overall, pretty happy with either way. You know, just get you a little red dot, smack that on there, okay, you're good to go. Secondly, a couple of other things that we found. If you're going to use the SIG Romeo 5, it came with an extra, first off, again, super sale day after Thanksgiving, or before Thanksgiving actually, it was a few weeks ago. But they were ridiculously priced, and I noticed that it comes with the spare flat mount, basically like a 0 offset, for free. You know, it's included in the box. Where that comes in handy, as you can see on the 74, the Zukov stock and the Midwest Industries optics rail, it still puts your eye relief right about here. So if we put the flat mount on that little primary arms prism optic, boom, freebie, saving money, right? So I'll be doing that right after this video. A couple of other things we found out, or that I would like to point out. Obviously, that is, in my opinion, the only, as you can see, it's been beat to heck. The Midwest Industries MIURR, that is the only reaction rod, whatever they call it. That's the only upper receiver rod to use, okay? But they're $100 and some. If you can't afford that one, I got this one from Optics Planet. It is aluminum, but if you're only going to build a couple of rifles, and it does have the slide adjustable little channel fin for your charging handle channel to keep your upper receiver all aligned perfectly and everything like that, that was a great option. About $40. Save you some money there. For dimple and gas blocks, we use the SLR Rifle Works one, but again, pricey. You want to save a little bit of money, KVP makes a pretty decent one, about $30 some, I think it was, okay? Also, if you want to use the whole style tassel nuts, you don't need a the Knights Armament tool or specific tool or whatever, okay? Amazon, $17, okay? You just get a 1/8 inch hole pin adjustable spanner wrench, okay? And all you gotta do is tap it down. No, there's no way to get an official torque setting, but guess what? You get a Guten tight and and stake it, it's not going to go anywhere. So if you like to use the hole style one, just make sure it's a 1/8 inch round pin, adjustable spanner. This one goes 3/4 to 2 inch, perfect size, 17 bucks. If you're going to install a Knights Armament rail, okay, you don't have to buy the Knights Armament wrench. Precision Reflex fits perfect, okay? Went right on there, solid steel, torqued it down, $23 from Precision Reflex. A lot of ways you could save money. Oh, bought it on a whim, okay? Again, if we're talking about budgetary constraints, the grip kit from, what is this? Grand Rapids Industrial Products, well, AR-15 armor kit. A couple of things I like. Comes with all of the starters for roll pins, comes with the flat side punches, and it comes with this nifty little press to get your trigger guard roll pin in that actually works, okay? That actually works. Very cool kit. I think this one was only about 30 some, 40 some dollars. I didn't have nothing like that, so I figured I would just try it for on the go. Excuse me. But there's a lot of ways to save money. You know, where'd it go? I got too much junk in here. Okay. Like I was saying, you get that, you get something like this FN15, this basic FN15, or the Star Car with the cold hammer forged barrel from Double Star. Found a used Knights Armament Micro 600 tack swap, 75 bucks, okay? Get you a good charging handle, something like that. Precision Reflex. Swap out the buffer with an H buffer. There's plenty of movies on buffers. There's one, I can't remember the guy that does it, but there's about a 30-minute video on buffers and why. If you have anything with a carbine buffer, throw the carbine buffer away. Just put at least an H in it for reliability. Aside from that, super happy with that build, the way it turned out. The interchangeability, my ability to take some GI's rifle and pull parts off of it and swap them directly to that one, that is your survivability of the rifle. So remember, we're looking for reliability, durability, and survivability. And that's why most GI is carrying an M4, an M4A1 now, okay? Get you a little FN15 like this, front sight post, backup sight, optics, drop-in rail, save you some money. We didn't get a sling on this one because I totally screwed the pooch and I forgot that CAC rails, just like the old Daniel Defense rails, have no front sling swivel. So this one's from Blue Force Gear. Double Star sells the same exact one for about 10 bucks. We'll be ordering a couple of extra of those so we can put a sling swivel on there. The DTPR stock already has a slot. I like running the slings the old school way. If you like QD swivels, that's fine too. Just make sure that they don't rotate so it's not swinging around on you. But don't be afraid to use lightly used products. Don't be afraid to pick out things because they're on sale. You might get lucky. That Griffin armor trigger is amazing. $70 is like just absolutely crazy. So after this, we'll be switching out that optics mount, see if we can get that a little bit lower since we got a freebie from SIG there. If there's any other projects that we'll be working on in the future, you guys are more than welcome to tag along. I think we have a couple of bolt gun builds, an old Mauser 98 action and a FN SPR action. Those will be coming along, but the primary one we're going to be working on, since we got the barrel now, is we're going to be finishing up this AR-10 build. We have the end plate on the way from ADM. We already have the buffer tube in there, and we already have the barrel. So we're going to get working on that next because we just want a 308. Why not? So got tons of 308 ammo. Might as well use it. Well, I think we can keep this one kind of short and sweet, but if there's any other questions you have, feel free to ask them. Like I said, reliable, durable, I think, and survivable. Little tidbit, FN lowers, if you get a hold of one, they're all low shelf. Do with that information what you want. Anyway, I think this will do it for today. If there's any other questions you have, like I said, feel free to ask. Thanks.